Today, we're going to dive into an incredible story. It's about a world that feels like it's on the brink of collapse, and how true safety, true refuge, wasn't found behind the strongest walls ever built, but was found hanging by a single thread from a window. So, this is the core tension of the whole story. On the outside, you had Jericho. It was the Fort Knox of its day, these legendary, massive walls built to keep every possible danger out. It was a picture of human security. But inside was a totally different story. The people were terrified. One resident confessed that their hearts were literally melting with fear. It just goes to show, you can have the strongest walls in the world, but they're useless if the human heart inside them has already collapsed. And living right there, inside those very walls, is a woman named Rahab. Now, as a Canaanite, she is a complete outsider to God's people. And as her entire city is just paralyzed by fear, she's about to have an encounter with two Israelite spies. And the choice she makes in that moment, well, it's not just going to save her life, it's a choice that's going to echo for all of eternity. And just listen to what Rahab says here. This isn't just her passing along some local gossip. What you're hearing is one of the most profound, powerful statements of faith in the entire Old Testament. She's not saying, hey, your tribal God is pretty tough. No. She is declaring that the God of Israel is the one true, sovereign God over everything, everywhere, period. You see, the whole city had heard the stories about what God had done. Everybody felt the fear, but only Rahab understood what that fear actually meant. For the rest of Jericho, fear led to panic, to paralysis. But for Rahab, that fear was the beginning of wisdom. She saw reality for what it was. Her city, her culture, her gods, even her walls. They were all on the wrong side of history. A new king had arrived, and she was switching her allegiance, right then and there. But Rahab's faith doesn't just stop with a private belief in her head. No, it immediately moves into action. She doesn't just cross her fingers and hope for the best. She courageously steps out and asks for a binding, permanent promise. She asks for a covenant. And to really get what she's asking for, we have to understand this absolutely crucial Hebrew word chesed. Now, it often gets translated as kindness or mercy, but it is so much bigger than that. Chesed is a loyal, steadfast, unbreakable, covenant-keeping love. It's the kind of love God has for his own people. So Rahab isn't just asking for a small favor. She's asking to be brought into a binding relationship of mercy with the people of the one true God. Her logic here is just brilliant. She basically says, look, I've shown you Hesed. I risked my life to protect you. Now I'm asking you to swear an oath before your God to show my family that exact same kind of loyal love. And because she knows the city's destruction is going to be total chaos, she asks for one more thing, a sure, visible sign. This is what saving faith looks like, you know? It's not just a feeling. It's an active allegiance that runs for refuge in the promises of God. And this brings us to the sign itself. The spies agree to her terms. And the sign they give her? It's a simple scarlet cord, a red rope to be tied in her window. And that one piece of thread is about to become the physical dividing line between an entire city facing judgment and a single household covered by mercy. Now, does this pattern sound a little familiar? It should. It is a direct echo of the very first Passover back in Egypt. Think about it. In both stories, a terrifying judgment is coming. In both, a specific house is marked for deliverance, with a sign, lamb's blood on the doorposts, a scarlet cord in the window. Safety is found only by staying inside that marked refuge, and the whole thing hinges on faith in God's promise. This is God's signature move. It's a divine pattern of rescue. Now, it is so important that we understand this. The scarlet cord had zero magical power. It wasn't a good luck charm. Its power was in what it represented. It was a covenant marker. It was a visible declaration to the armies of Israel, and really to God himself, that basically said, this household right here, it's under the protection of the promise you made. And think about where she had to put it. In the window. A window is an opening. It's a place of vulnerability. Her allegiance to the God of Israel wasn't some secret she kept locked away in her heart. It was displayed publicly for all to see, right where her home was most exposed. And you know, true faith is kind of like that. Eventually, it has to come out into the open. It has to mark our lives. So, a house is saved by a scarlet thread. It's an amazing story, but it doesn't end there. In fact, this is where the story completely opens up into its true, breathtaking meaning.
This ancient story is pointing forward, all along, to a much greater rescue and a much greater savior.
And here it is, the stunning plot twist. When the Gospel of Matthew lists the family tree of Jesus Christ, he includes her, by name, Rahab, the Canaanite, the outsider, from a city that was under God's judgment, is grafted directly into the lineage of the Messiah. She is Jesus's great-great-grandmother. It's just, wow. So the question is, why? Why would God do this? Why would he intentionally weave someone with her past, with her history, with her reputation, directly into the sacred storyline of salvation? And here's the answer. And it's for every single one of us. God includes Rahab to permanently destroy the lie that our past disqualifies us from his grace. He wants to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that his salvation isn't based on our moral resume or our social respectability. It's based entirely on his relentless pursuing covenant-keeping mercy. Jesus doesn't just tolerate broken people, he builds his family with them. That scarlet cord, it was a beautiful foreshadowing, wasn't it? It was a sign of mercy that saved one family. But the cross of Jesus Christ, that is the ultimate sign of mercy. It isn't hung from a window for one house to see, it is lifted up for the entire world to see. But the logic is exactly the same. God provides a refuge marked by a sign, and it's available to anyone who will take shelter there by faith. So here's the ultimate takeaway. True refuge, the kind our souls are desperate for, isn't found inside some walls we build. It's found in a person, Jesus Christ. The spies told Rahab, "Stay in the house." Jesus tells us, "Abide in me." And when we do, we find out that he doesn't just offer a one-time pardon. No, he binds himself to us with that same hesed, that steadfast, faithful love. And he weaves our broken stories into his beautiful grand plan of redemption.
Jericho's walls fell, and eventually every single wall we build for our own security, whether it's our career, our money, our reputation, our own strength, all of them will fall too. They all do. So the question this ancient story leaves for us today is simple, but it is everything. Where have you placed your refuge?